everybody, welcome to the final exam review for EM 900 Engineering Management. This is going to be, like I was saying before, for anyone watching this video, it's really an audio recording, not really a video. But it's going to be on what you need to do for the final exam. Final exam is going to be next week on Monday, well, I guess I could do some video here, the 16th. However, you don't like Monday the 16th. If you want to, I'm opening up an invitation for you to show up on the 18th, which is Wednesday, from 11 to 3. Has to be between 11 to 3. Anytime after 3 will not be here. Anytime before 11 will not be here. So this is the exam time slot for the data structures course. My online data structures course is taking their final exam at this time. And I opened up our time for them, so I figured I'll open up, and some of them are taking it at other times. But long story short, if you guys want to do, if you're in both classes, if you're in the EM 900 course, you're also in the next one, the Android phone application development class, you probably have 2 exams on one day. You don't want to do that. You can take one of them on Monday, the other one on Wednesday. It doesn't matter which one you take, I'll have all the exams with me. Before we get started, are there questions about the exam day? If not, it's on Monday at 11 o'clock. 11 to probably 1. Well, 1 o'clock is good. So what is the other one? 11 to 3? 11, 12, 1, 2. Well, that's a big time frame. I don't know why they did it that way. But this one's not going to go till 3. This one's going to go from 11. If you're going to take the exam on Monday, show up at 11. That way you'll have full maximum time. And then the next class will start at 2 o'clock, and that'll go till you guys finish. So it's not a timed thing. It's not going to take you more than a couple of hours to do this one. This one here is a little bit longer, though. This one is a little time consuming. Will probably take you about 2 hours at the most. All right, so as I promised, the exam itself is 15 questions and you pick 5. So it's like what is that store that does a you pick 2? This is a you pick 5. And you answer the 5 questions of your choice, but you got 15 of them to choose from. And I'm going to give you the topic areas right now, so grab a piece of paper, something to write with. What you're going to do with these is they're worth 5 points each. The entire exam, I believe, is worth 25 points, but let me just verify that actually by looking at the syllabus. I'm sorry? Oh, somebody said something. Let's take a look here at the syllabus. And the syllabus says, let's see, the syllabus wants to tell me that it is, final exam is worth 25 points. Good, I have my points correct. And it is comprehensive. Okay, and if this one is not multiple choice, it is short answer. All right, what do I mean by short answer? You're answering with sentences, as many sentences as you'd like, with unlimited amount of paper. However, you don't have to write an essay. You have to write at least a minimum, if you guys could be quiet. There's not that many people in here either. A minimum of 50 words, because people are trying to listen actually. So a minimum of 50 words. That's pretty short, no maximum. Most people, last time I did this exam, I did a similar format, and most people answered within about a page. Half a page, a page. It depends on how long-worded you are. Long-winded, I guess, or long-worded. If you like to answer a lot, you like to write, you could easily write an entire page on this. You don't really have to. About half a page, several paragraphs, 2 or 3 paragraphs would probably work. 1 paragraph, 1 sentence, probably not going to be enough information. Because of the questions, and I'll try to get it, I'll give you a couple of sample questions, you know, the no-brainer beginning ones. I'm not going to read all the questions to you, but I will tell you the topic areas. And each one of the questions is multiple sentences with multiple questions in it. So you'll be able to, like, if you don't like the first part of the question, you can focus more on the second part of the question. You're not going to be graded on your punctuation, your grammar, your spelling, or your writing ability. However, you guys are all graduate students, so you need to really practice your writing anyway. The writing skills are horrid in general for some strange reason. But that's society in general. Nobody writes anymore. And so your handwriting skills are going to be terrible too, but don't worry about it. Write legible. You're not going to be using a computer for this exam. You'll be using a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen that you'll bring yourself. So bring a pencil or a pen that you like to write with, and we're going to be given some paper. I know it's a foreign concept, but you're going to be given paper, blank paper, and you write on the blank paper. Yeah, weird, isn't it? But that's what they used to do in the old days. And yeah, so they're still doing it. We're still doing it. It's the best way to avoid cheating and avoid problems. There's no internet. There's no need to use an internet. There's no notes. Closed book, closed notes, closed internet, closed everything. So what you do is you come in with your head and your brain, and you answer what's in your brain and your head. No two people are actually going to answer the same way unless you're identical twins or something and you think the same way or something like that. And then that's statistically odd as well. So, all right, so of the 15 questions, you are going to have to pick 5. Here's your subject areas. Now, question number 1. See, now question number 1, I can actually probably just read you the question. I can tell you what it is because, you know, I'm going to ask you the no-brainer. And you might pick this one, but this might actually be a hard one for you to answer. It's going to be on the general concepts of engineering management, right? I mean, this is Engineering Management 101 or Engineering Management 1. So the question is related to, and there's 4 subtopic questions all under the same question. So it's 4 questions, it's really 1 question. Let me read you part of the question. So it starts out saying, describe the meaning of blah, blah, blah. Going to be something related to general engineering management, right? And then here's the second part of the question. What is the meaning of blah, blah, blah and blah, blah, blah as it relates to blah, 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 which was answered in question number 1. And then the fourth part, oh my God, there's 5? No, that's the second part. The third part is what is a blah, blah, blah? Now, mind you, they're all related. And then the fourth part of this question, how are these blah, blah, blahs related? So let me give you the question breakdown, and all the questions are sort of like this. This was 4 sentences or 4 sub-questions that are part of the same question. So one is a major topic. So the first sentence is really the major question. You know, describe the meaning of blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, what's the meaning of this and this as it relates to that? And what about this? And then last but not least, how do they all fit together? General question on engineering management. That's your give me your no-brainer for showing up today or for listening to this recording. That's the give me. So questions on question number 1. What I'm trying to do is give you the blah. What is the blah blah? Can't tell you what the blah blahs are. I can tell you that they're all related, the blah blahs in this sentence. All right, so question number 2. I'm going to read you the first part of this question. There's 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's only 3 parts to this one. This question actually has the words Porter's competitive forces model in the question. I'm not going to read you the question, but it's in there. AKA, well, also known as give me number 2. I'm giving you the subject area. If you want to answer, you have 15 of them. You only pick 5. You don't like Porter's model, don't answer Porter's model's question. But this one is on Porter's 5 forces. Porter's competitive forces model. And people are going to go, where is this? Well, it was actually the subject of about 10 lectures. I went over about 3 of them, I believe, right in the beginning. And people are going, well, we don't have a textbook for this course. How do I know what I'm supposed to read? That's the problem. We don't have a textbook. That's not a problem, really. In fact, it cuts you down on all your reading. Instead, what you want to do is go out here. It says Technology Management Lectures. Porter's is actually in the management part. Managing Innovation Lectures. And just start thumbing through them and download a couple of them and go, oh, look at that. She went over this one in class. I went over all of the lectures that are on the exam. I went over all of them in class. So they have all been covered. So you might remember right in the beginning of the course, spent a couple weeks on Porter's competitive model. We saw it a couple of different times. Also, we saw the top line and bottom line model. So this was in all that stuff about the models, if you remember. Oh, wow, it's louder now. So that one, the first question and the first part of that question, I'm reading right from the question, Porter's competitive forces model. The rest of the 3 sentences are about the model. So if you want to prepare for number 1, it's just general engineering management. For number 2, and when I say general engineering management, think about all the things that I said in the first week of the class. You know, how engineering management is part information systems, information technology, software engineering, computer engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, engineering in general, as well as management. So it's always it's a business topic as well. We got marketing, sales. Almost everything is combined together in engineering management, and it's a brand new field, yada yada, and there's so many subfields to it. All you really have to do is take a look at the way the lectures are spread out. You'll see the subfields. You'll see that there's technology, and that there's management and innovation, and there's a little bit of science in there too. And we're hitting towards, we did the soft sciences with cloud computing. And normally I cover a little telecommunications in this class, but I didn't do it this term because most of the students don't like it. Networking technologies and telecommunications. But if we wanted to add more subject areas to this class, we wanted to make it longer, we could continue with technologies outside of cloud technology. We could actually, I usually cover, and I have covered a little bit about databases, and there's database lectures in this class too that you can go through. I didn't cover every single one of these because this wasn't like volume. This was quality instead of quantity, whatever. I spot picked, and I lectured over some of the things, and you can find the videos in here too. All the way back from September. Wow, we started in September. We can go all the way back to the last 13. This is week 14. Next week is actually 15, so it's really a 15-week term. Either that or we had a holiday or something. Maybe, I don't know. Looks like we're one week short on lectures here, but it's okay. I think the first day was a holiday. Yeah, it's okay though. We still got it all in. So sometimes when I teach this course, I see that there's 14, and then 15 is the final exam week, but we have 13 and 14 is the final exam week. So it's just kind of weird. Or it doesn't really matter. This is week 14, by the way, for this class. Normally there might be a 15th week. Depends upon the holiday schedule. But, long story short, if you go back through the information in here, especially if you go through the midterm is actually kind of interesting as well. You open up the midterm, refresh your memory on that kind of concept. On software engineering, this was on software development lifecycle models. I'm going to get to that question in a few minutes, but we're going to have one on that as well. So anyway, Porter's model is the second subject. These are where you're going to find the information for it. The first one was on general engineering management. The second one's on Porter's. So, unless we have questions, we're going to move on to number 3. Number 3 is everybody but Porter's. Top line, bottom line, a couple of other strategies in there outside of Porter's 5 forces. I guess he's not the best. I mean, I shouldn't say he's not the best. He's not the only way of analyzing situations, innovations, and changes and stuff. So top line and bottom line are in the question, actually. And different categories outside of Porter's competitive forces. So when you read through Porter's, you'll see in the lecture it's going to be mixed in other lecture topics in the same lectures. They're mentioning other models and other things. The question on number 3, I'm only on number 3, is about those other things. Other models. I gave you one, top down, bottom line, top line. Go through the lecture, you'll see what I'm talking about. If you find Porter's, you'll find top down, bottom up. You'll find the other ones I'm looking at. So that's what the theme of this question is. You don't like the question, don't answer the question. Your choice. You don't like Porter's, maybe there's a better one for you. Who knows? Or maybe you'll read the question and go, I like this one. So don't decide what you're going to, you can decide what you're going to study for. Like for example, if I were sitting here right now, I have no idea what Porter's 5 forces, what in the world is that model? I might go home and look it up between now and next week. If you think you might answer that question. You don't want to answer the question, don't answer. You can get away without knowing anything about Porter's models. That's fine. So. Number 4. All right, so after we went through, and what we're doing is taking a whirlwind tour through this class as well. First couple weeks was what is it, engineering management. Then I got into all the different subreads of it. Information systems, information technology, yada yada. Then we looked at Porter's model a little bit. We looked at some of the other models a little bit, mixed in with some other information. Then we started looking at these systems. Supply chain management systems, and ERP systems, customer relationship management systems. So the fourth question is on the concept of supply chain. In fact, the words supply chain management are in the sentence of the question. So the topic of this one is supply chain management. You're going, I don't know anything about, go back to the lectures. As soon as I got done with Porter's model, actually towards the end of that stuff, I started talking about supply chain. Automated manufacturing, manufacturing management, supply chain management, operations management, customer relationships. Remember the CRM stuff? Or better yet, the ERP stuff. There's a lot of stuff on, you don't have to be an expert on what supply chain management is. The question is going to ask you a management related question actually about, I can't really tell you because I'll give it away. It's actually, you can answer it in like 5 different ways. Yeah, it's just about supply chain management in general in terms of how it's used for engineering management. What would you want to do in terms of technology and management of supply chain? How could you automate it, stuff like that. So when you start thinking about, well, what I need to know, well, how would you apply technology towards it? As an engineering manager, and all of the questions are geared at, as an engineering manager, I'm in charge of supply chain. What do I want to do to automate the process of my assembly line or something? Or how could I do this? Or how could I do that? It's very much some of the portions of the questions are a little thinking out of the box. It's not rote memorization. There's nothing for you to memorize, which is good. Because someone can't come back and say, well, I copied it right out of the book. Like, well, there's no book, so you didn't copy it out of the book. So, and there's nothing you could copy, especially if it's asking you for your own opinion. So yes, you have an opportunity from your own perspective and your own opinions to answer and get credit for it, as if you were the authority, which is good. Because that's what I'm looking for. The test is on your analytical skills and your formation of ideas. Given an introductory course in engineering management, can you actually think about engineering management? Do you even know what the topics is about? Do you have a clue in terms of putting pieces together to help a company? And what are your suggestions? That's the heart of the exam, essentially. And you're going to demonstrate that through answering questions that you're going to pick out. So you can't say, oh, I didn't like the question, it was a bad question. You don't, bad question, don't pick it. Pick another question. So anyway, so number 4 is on supply chain management as a concept and as it was presented in the course in the terms of using technology to automate supply chain management and all the things related to it. Oh, there's several different lectures I gave you on that as well, right in the beginning. Wow, and number 5 is on customer relationship management. How much you want to bet number 6 is on, oh, number 7 is on ERP. So let me not go too fast though. After you get done supply chain management with question number 4, then you go, well, okay, my option number 5 is on the concept of customer relationship management. Do I want to answer that question? Well, it depends on how much you like that topic. So then you go through the lecture notes between now and next week and go, do I like customer? Well, actually, a lot of people don't like CRM. It's kind of, I don't know. It's hard to talk about that. I mean, what are you going to say about that? I mean, most people as consumers have either a negative or a positive. They have their own personal impression of what they think customer relationship management is because you've been a victim of it from one extent or another. If you've ever bought anything, a big ticket item, you've had the follow-up sales calls and how is the support, how is the service, and how is this, and or you get, before you buy it, you accidentally looked at an ad, you clicked on something, and all of a sudden now you're in the database of email spam because you clicked on something. Yeah, don't use a computer where you're logged in and you're clicking on anything because then you're recorded. Oh yeah, you're shopping for a camera. Look at that. Oh, you're looking for a new school to go to. Look at that, or something. Anyway, it's kind of a crazy world out there when it comes to customer relationship management. So you might have some strong feelings about concepts related to it, how they fit in with engineering management. I covered customer relationship management. There's an entire lecture on it, actually. So, as a topic area, you might select to write on customer relationship management. You'll have, each one of these questions has 3 to 4, mostly 4 sub-questions. So it's not like, what is customer relationship management? Although I would start out with that, because if you don't know what customer relationship management is, you might not be able to answer the question, that's talking about it or something. But I'm sure if you know what it is, you'll be able to answer the question no problem. I'm just not going to ask you, what is it? Too easy. Instead, you'll have to apply some analysis, and it's your analysis. So as long as you're analyzing it properly, you're thinking about the topic, you're actually here, you're answering it, you'll do just fine. It's not a hard exam. In fact, students like this because it demonstrates what they know and not what they don't know. So, which is true. I'm not trying to figure out what you don't know. I'm just trying to tell me what you know. Number 6 is on expert systems and knowledge management. Knowledge-based systems. Well, I've already gotten enough. You already could have passed the exam with number 1 through 5. So then you go, I don't like any of those, because you only have to answer 5 of these. But number 6 is on knowledge management systems. Expert systems, knowledge-based systems. Using knowledge, information that turns into knowledge, that turns into wisdom. So it's an information hierarchy, as you remember from that information knowledge lecture. It's all about knowledge. What can I say about that? Expert systems, knowledge-based systems, knowledge management, knowledge engineering, knowledge worker. In fact, this is kind of sequential as well, right after the CRM and the supply chain management and the ERP. So I put it out of order. I probably should have put 7 before 6 in terms of the sequence or the flow. Because knowledge came after that. And we didn't really cover too much about knowledge in this class, but we did sort of hit it. It's also in the lecture area. So knowledge discovery, knowledge workers. Questions about knowledge? What I mean by that? Anything? Number 7 is our ERP question. The words, and in fact it's even spelt out for you. You don't even have to memorize what ERP means. You can just say enterprise resource planning and read it right from the exam, right from the question. So enterprise resource planning, which is number 7. If anyone came in late and you missed number 1 through 6, I'm recording it. There's not very much video to this, but it's all audio recording of me telling you about the exam. So. Okay, so let's see. It'll be labeled Final Exam Review, so there'll be no doubt where it's at. So this is the Enterprise Resource Planning question, and it's also in multiple parts, and it's just talking about technology, support, functionality, and the bigger picture of what's trying to be accomplished. And it actually says real-life company or business or engineering scenario in the question. So it's going to have you apply these concepts to something that's a real-life scenario or a business. So, questions about ERP? There's lectures upon lectures. I skipped like half of them, but there's multiple different lectures on it. And it's going to be, I think probably in the technology management section, but you can thumb through and see. So that's my best guess. There's ERP everywhere. Some of it's mixed in with supply chain management, which is the SCM, and then and it doesn't really matter if you know the acronyms. I'd spell it out for you anyway. So. Or CRM, customer relationship management. Any questions on ERP? All right. So if you don't like number 1 through 7, then we're going to hit number 8. Number 8, the words database technology are in the first question. Talking about databases. Data mining, data warehousing, the use of data in a business, and how it fits in the concept of information systems, information technology, and engineering management. So database, not a technical course. If you haven't noticed, it's not a highly technical course. If you gave me a bunch of relational database schema, or you gave me relational tables or something, I'm going to look at you funny when I read the exam. So I'm not going to look at you, I'm going to look at myself. And what is this student doing? What class are they in? You don't have to know anything about database technology or terminology. It's the concept of using the data. Databases in terms of their utility. Data mining, this is a business course. Data warehousing as a concept. If you go through the lecture, there's a couple of them in general in the beginning that go over databases, database technology. That's very helpful. If you want to answer the question, you don't have to answer the question. You don't like databases, don't worry about it. But if you start giving me SQL query languages and stuff like that, I'm going to wonder what in the world class you're in. So try to answer the question that I'm asking you, but don't go off of, I took an Oracle class 2 years ago. I can answer this question. It's on database technology. Sure, why not? You know, Oracle is used for, I'm like, wait a minute, where does the word Oracle appear on this page? It doesn't. So anyway, we didn't talk about specific database technologies or anything. We just talked about the concept of using databases. So that's basically the focus of that question. I know you can't see anything from here. I always worry when I'm holding up the exam, you know. Unless you've got like really good vision, better than mine, you might be able to see it. Yeah, I had one student one time take a picture, actually. Went like, here's the questions, and they took a picture of it. And they tried to zoom in, but it was still too blurry. So. All right, number 9. Number 9 has got 1, 2, 3, 5 sub-questions, number 9. But you know what? The sub-questions are actually easier questions to answer. 5 is on decision support, expert systems, and artificial intelligence used in engineering management. Barely touched on the topic area, but still it's kind of an interesting area if you... I didn't tell you the question. I was giving you the topic area. You came in a little bit late. Yeah. If you want, this has all been recorded as well. So you can go, I'm already on number 9, so you missed everything to 9. But you can go on YouTube and watch the video. It's not really a video, it's more of an audio recording, but it's available for you. But let me repeat number 9 for you right now. It's on the concept of decision support, expert systems, and artificial intelligence used in engineering management. It's not on artificial intelligence concepts or theories or languages or anything, nothing we didn't cover in the class. But it's on the concept of using expert systems. So that one and the knowledge discovery question sort of overlap a little bit. I didn't put them next to each other in the sequence because this one's really on later technologies. But I kind of put that out there just because decision support. You know, remember all the scenarios I gave you for airline flights and scheduling applications for scheduling employees to work. The question is really along the lines of using information and using expert systems to make decisions, better decisions in middle-level management at a company. So as an engineering management, you know, trying to decide how you're going to schedule your staff, or how you're going to schedule your buses or your trains or your shipments or your goods or your pieces, depending upon what you're doing. So, questions on decision support, expert systems, and artificial intelligence. Didn't really hit very much AI. And here's the other thing too. So you know something about a topic. That's great. You don't know if I covered it in the class. That's also good too. It's okay. You don't have to stick with everything you learned from the class, because the nature of the exam is to have you apply the knowledge and your own analysis, and you're actually getting graded on your analysis and your thinking, not really on the facts and the numbers or the statistics that you're giving me or the knowledge. So as an example, artificial intelligence. The only form of artificial intelligence that I talked about in this class were in the form of the expert systems. So this is where data mining is actually a subpart of artificial intelligence. Data mining and expert systems and knowledge discovery and knowledge workers. All the knowledge stuff falls under AI. But let's say you answer the question and you bring up an example that has something to do with natural language processing. There's no lecture on this website about natural language processing. However, you chose to use that as your example of an application that fits into this category that, from your analysis, works for the scenario that I'm asking you to write about. That's perfectly fine. I don't expect you to go out on the internet and figure out what natural language processing is, because why would you do that? But if you happen to know about it, it doesn't matter if I didn't give you a lecture, and I didn't give you a lecture on natural language processing, then we didn't talk about that in this class. But you wrote about it. But it applied to answer the question about the concept of what it is you were trying to apply for your analysis. Because all of the questions are going to ask you for examples. How is this, for example, going back to number 9, decision support. If the question is on decision support systems and expert systems and artificial intelligence, so I'm still talking about number 9 right now. Yeah, I haven't moved on to 10. I'm still on 9. So I'm like, wait a minute. Then Am I not going to ask you for an example in the real world? So whatever company you bring up, whatever example you provide, isn't going to be something we talked about in the class anyway. I mean, unless we haven't talked about all companies out there. So you're not limited to just things that were covered in the course or things that were covered in the lectures. It's the topic areas and the concepts. But the most important thing is how does it apply towards engineering management? So going back to the database question, if you answer the database question like a software engineer and not like a manager, and you just talked about relational database versus object-oriented databases or something, you wouldn't get any points for that question, especially if the question asked you about a management aspect of it or a configuration or a use of it to help a business product or help a business process or something. And you talked about the differences between SQL and PL's SQL. Would be way off topic, although you're talking about a database. Because the last students leave and go, okay, she wants us to know about databases. Well, what you need to know about databases, oh, I can't go out there and search and learn everything there's. I have to learn databases now? You know, it's like that's not the right thinking. It's whatever was covered in the lectures. So if you go to the lecture set and you see there's a couple of them on databases, just the information of what it is in terms of data mining and databases and data warehouse and data utility in a business. That's what you need to know about. So don't think because I give you these topic areas, you got to go out and be an expert on supply chain management or an expert on ERP or you know, CRM or databases or artificial intelligence. You know, don't go out and learn natural language processing. But if you happen to be able to think of an example that was related to artificial intelligence, you know, maybe handwriting recognition or something. I didn't cover handwriting recognition in the class, but that's okay. It's your analysis. I'm not going to tell you what you know and what you don't know. So I'm not really grading you on the facts or the data. It's not memory recall. It's solving a problem. How would you do something? I'm grading you on your thinking and your analysis. And it's expressed in your writing. So it's not like, you know, multiple choice. Multiple choice is fact. A, B, or C, which one's correct, which one's not correct. Here, everything's correct. It's just, can you explain yourself well? How well are you explaining yourself? Do I have the impression you understand what this question even asked for? Kind of thing. The people who aren't going to do well are the people who leave the question blank, don't answer 5 questions, or answer with SQL and the differences in PL language or something that's totally unrelated to the class or to the management aspect of it. And they just came, I don't know how they've been beating the attendance, but they just showed up for the final and they're here. Okay. All right. Number 10 is on a topic that's in the lecture set, but I didn't actually go over it. It was so I had at the end, I could go over. This is geographical information systems. I could have covered geographical or I could have covered cloud technology because they're both sort of good topic areas. I decided to take the cloud route instead, and we'll finish that lecture up today. And I'll have time, don't worry. GIS was the other one. You don't like GIS, scratch the question off your list. But the question has to do with graphical information systems. Well, where do we get I talked a little bit about it earlier, but I talked about it in terms of location services and location systems, where GIS is really a big word. But if you think about the concept of building an application, and if you know the graphical location of the user, you can build the application to do more. So if you think about location services, huge part of today's apps, huge part of Google right now actually, making it location aware, that's GIS, a form of GIS. It's not GIS entirely, because you can go back to the military and call GIS mapping, strategic plans and routes and stuff. So as applied towards a modern day business, GIS or information regarding geographic location, terrain, something could help you from an information systems perspective to provide you with better customer relationship management actually. So you're selling bathing suits. Are you going to hit people who are on the East Coast right now? Probably not. Well, that's knowledge of the geographic information system. It's snowing out there. You're going to sell those guys parkas. You're not going to sell, well, that's weather related too. But you might not know in the middle of summer, are you going to sell somebody in Alaska sunglasses? Probably not. It's dark over there. There's no sun. So taking information about the geographic location, the climate, the economy. You know, it's like trying to sell a product in a country where the culture doesn't like the item or something. Not so good. Or, you know, better yet, you can sell bathing suits. You know where bathing suits are being sold right now, actually? Hawaii. Big market for it. Snorkeling gear, goggles, sunglasses, sunscreen. It's beautiful weather over there right now. So everybody from here goes over, not here necessarily, but let's say the East Coast, will go over to Hawaii for the winter or just to spend a couple weeks. It's nice. It'd be 80 degrees outside. Where's your bathing suit? I don't know. I lost it. Buy a new one. Here's your snorkel gear. Actually, you can rent snorkel gear. So a lot of people take tropical or island kind of vacations when it's snowing outside because it's nice. So there's a market for it. There's a market for those things. Anyway, all right, but American consumers are kind of picky when it comes to stuff, I think, sometimes too, but so is the rest of the world. But anyway, that's what number 10 is called, on the concept of geographic information systems. Number 11, are we done with GIS? You got a feel for what it is, hopefully. All right, number 11 is on e-commerce, e-business, m-commerce, e-commerce, m-commerce, as it applies towards engineering, management, businesses, engineering scenarios. So you remember a bunch of stuff from your e-commerce course, now you can reuse it. You don't know anything about e-commerce, don't answer that question. You like e-commerce, maybe you're going to decide to do that one. Freshen up, go through. There's a couple of, I didn't cover a lot, I only covered one e-commerce lecture and it was very short. So there's, in fact it was right before a holiday or something, I remember. But anyway, long story short, there's a couple of items in here that might be of interest to you. Thumb through the lecture set. If you and I here got the time, download all of them if you want to on your local system. It's easier to do that. Just open them up, see what topics are in there, thumb through them, pick them for different areas, and then start thinking about what's being covered in those lectures. And then maybe do a Google search or grab some, you know, another book from your e-commerce course if you took a course in e-commerce. Refresh your memory on a few things or whatever. And that's great preparation if you want to answer the e-commerce question. You don't have to. You can answer one of the other ones. But basic e-commerce is in there. Questions on e-commerce? Kind of a small area. Of course, people would deny that. Actually, you know, e-commerce has turned into a regular business model. In the past, e-commerce was like an island of its own. Now it's just doing business in America, really, or in the world. Everything is e-commerce. Is it really a new business model anymore? No, it's pretty old. M-commerce is getting pretty old too, actually. M stands for mobile. So, getting kind of old as well. Number 12 is on the topic of the midterm. Number 12 is on software development lifecycle models. If you like the midterm, you enjoyed it, answer number 12. You already know it. If you did the midterm, you did it by yourself, number 12 is a piece of cake. It's a give me. Just demonstrate what you did on the midterm and you'll be in good shape. Haven't done the midterm yet. I certainly would do it within the next week here. The deadline is the 16th, I believe. Midnight on the 16th. Did I set for midnight? I'm pretty sure I set for midnight. You're shaking your head. It is midnight. Okay, good. At 1 minute after midnight, you can no longer turn it in. Seriously. Happens every single term. Why wait until midnight and then say me, you know, the system wasn't going to take it. I tried to log in. Why are you waiting until the last second? Turn it in the morning if you're going to do it on the 16th. And you have all day to figure out the technology problems associated with getting it uploaded. It's generally a student who went, oh shoot, I was supposed to turn that in. You're gone. You got 0 points on it. There's no late submissions. It's no tolerance. It's like, it's either submitted on time or it's not. You've had 16 weeks to do it, or 15 weeks. You could have done it all the first week of class. So no, I'm sorry, but there's just nothing. There's nothing I can do for you. It must be done by the 16th. On the 17th, I'm going to have everything graded, or I'm going to start grading 16th, the night of the 16th. Here's the other thing too. So when I start doing the grading, this is a small class, so this is not going to be a problem. It doesn't happen instantaneously. I have to download, look at, post. So some students will get theirs before others will. Just because your friend got their grade doesn't mean you're going to get your grade. They happen in real time. So I download, I look at it, I grade it, I post it. Download it, look at it, grade it, I post it. I'm going to take breaks. I might even do half one day and half the next day. Problem last term was I had millions of students. Well, my friend got their grades, I'm missing a grade. And I'm missing a grade for this one, and I'm missing a grade for that one too. I'm like, I'm only a human. Give me a few days. Give me a week. By the end of the week, everything gets graded. It doesn't happen instantaneously. It's seriously, people, oh, you know what it is? Because some people get their grades and some people don't. And they go, oh my gosh, you didn't get it. No, I'm still grading it. I wish the system would just have an on or an off. You put everything in and then you turn it on. Okay, it's all done. It doesn't. So as soon as I put it in, it gets posted. And then people go back and they go, oh, but I got this one, but I didn't get that one. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Don't send me the email messages because, you know, I have an auto reply that goes on at that time. I'm sorry, but your email message will be answered accordingly to the... Just kidding. You're going to get an automated response. You're not going to get a real response from me anyway until the grading is done. Actually, what I've been doing in the past is just got off of email completely. Because students will send me messages telling me that they got one assignment done, but the other one didn't get a grade yet. And where's my grade? So instead of wasting my time answering all of those email messages and not grading, I just don't answer email. And then I come back on and I say, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I see it now. So save yourself the time. Don't send the first email so you don't have to send the follow-up second one because I'm not going to answer it anyway. Back to number 12, software development lifecycle models. I didn't talk about that, but that's the midterm. I thought about the midterm, which was what the problem was. Okay, so number 13. The word service-oriented architecture is in the sentence. So number 13, if you like the concept of service-oriented architectures, SOA, then you can answer that one. We did this one a couple weeks ago. Actually, this is the tail end of the course. A couple weeks ago, I talked about service-oriented architectures after ERP stuff and around some technology-oriented lectures. Look it up, SOA. Small O, big A, big S. So, but I'm getting towards the end. This is number 13. You don't like the question? Don't answer the question. You know something about it? You like this? So there's a little bit of something for everybody. This is more technology oriented. So, more technology / cloud related. More current, I should say, than some of the other questions. Another question you might opt not to answer, or maybe you will, is number 14. So number 13 is on service-oriented architectures. And then we have number 14 is on software as a service. SaaS, software as a service. So if we don't have a service-oriented architecture, we could have software as a service. So the topics are kind of similar, some of them work together, but definitely different questions. So if you like software as a service, you can study that one. It's about businesses. The word revenue is actually in there too, in the question. That one actually, number 14's got 5 parts to it, which is actually kind of interesting. So when you answer the questions, you don't like all 5 parts. You don't necessarily have to answer on it, but want to cover most of it. So as an example, if it says provide an example, you're going to want to provide an example. If it says can it be done this way or that way, discuss, you can talk about one or the other if you wanted to. You don't necessarily have to cover all of it in a lot of depth. But, if you do well on one part of it, but you're kind of not on the other, don't worry about it. Because the questions have multiple questions associated with them. So you might know something about software as a service, but you might not know one of the sub-parts of it. And if you just say something, but you don't really say enough, that's okay. If you answer the whole question in one sentence, that's probably not going to be enough. So you're probably going to want to, and it's not volume, It's quantity. It's quality, not quantity. So about a page or less on each one of them. Well, I'll be giving you 5 pieces of paper. You can use the fronts and the backs. Last time nobody went over 1 page. Well, a couple people did. If you're long, I'll give you more paper, but you can't bring paper to the exam. And there's no notes during the exam. You don't need any notes. This is the one exam you don't have to cheat on, because you can just answer in your own words and you'll know the answer. I mean, most of you have been coming here just for the attendance purposes. The people who just came in, actually. So you may not necessarily know the answers, but everybody else who has been showing up, who's been watching video or has been reading through the lectures, if you've been here, you've actually been listening, then you're going to know how to answer all of these questions. It's no-brainer. It's fairly straightforward. It's only worth 25% of your grade, so it's not that big of a deal. I've had people fail this completely and still pass with a B. So if you don't do well on this one, the way that works out, you'll end up with an A- or a B+ in the course, most likely. It's now here's the pressure. People, oh, what are you talking about? No, I was talking about grades. People started listening. It got real quiet too. It's 25%, so it's definitely going to have a significant impact if you can't answer it. But it's really to reward those people who've been paying attention. You guys can answer it no problem. So it's just provide your own analysis. I have had people cheat on this, and if you cheat, you get 0 points. If your answer matches identically with somebody else's, and sometimes it's actually written in the same handwriting, which is kind of ironic, actually, then if that's the case, you get 0 points on it. Actually, the way that they did it last time, so we'll be watching for this as well, is that papers kept rotating. You know, like somebody would like take it, answer it, send it over. The other person answered that, send it over. Like they all answered the same thing, and meanwhile somebody else was answering a different question, and they were answering it all in everybody's. And I'm looking at this going, that's written in somebody's handwriting, and then that was written in somebody else's handwriting. But wait, these 4 papers. That question is all answered with the same person's handwriting. And then this one's all answered in that other person's handwriting. It's practically identical. It's like the same mind was writing that. All those guys got 0s, and they all got reported. So, and which is amazing because we had Joel and we had somebody else. And, oh, here's Joel now.
Joel, he's coming in here tonight.
We had him doing attendance. I was warning them about cheating. So let me pause this. All right, let's finish this review here. I think I stopped on number 11 or 12 or 13. So 11 was on e-commerce. 12 is on software development lifecycle models. 13 was on software-oriented architectures. And 14 is on software as a service. And remember I said that number 14 has got a lot of parts to it. So don't worry about answering all of the parts. If you can answer some of the parts, that works actually. Especially if you answer them well. If you don't answer them well and you missed out half the question, you might get some partial credit. And it's not an all or nothing. It's worth up to 5 points per 5 questions for a total of 25 points. If you really mess one up, you'll get 3 or 4 points on it. You only get deducted a couple points on it. So it's not like an all or nothing. You get partial credit. It's really impossible unless you don't answer 5 questions not to get partial credit on it, unless you've cheated. If you're cheating on it, then, or if you're giving me something and what you're giving me is written identically in my lecture, that's cheating as well. Or on Wikipedia or something. I don't know how you would have gotten it. It's closed book, closed notes, closed internet, closed neighbor. You're writing it with a pen and a piece of paper. No technology. Huh? Yeah, and even if your handwriting, well, your handwriting is supposed to be your own handwriting. So last time we did catch 4 people who were, I'm not going to tell you this one again, but they were just rotating the exams throughout the room. And I don't know how we caught that, because that's what I was talking when Joel came in here. Joel was here, I was here, Sarah Lynn was here. We were all looking at everybody. And somehow we've got 4 people who still cheated. I think it's the art. It's the art of cheating. People like take great strides in seeing how successful they can be about it. So that's right. I guess there was a class over the weekend that they were on the internet and they were doing text messaging and stuff, back and forth questions and answers and stuff. So I don't know what was going on in that class. How could you not notice all that stuff going on? No cell phones either. No cell phones, no tablets, no PDAs, no technology. It's ITU, no technology. All right, number 15, last but not least, is on cloud computing. I'm going to finish this lecture out today, actually, as well. So cloud computing and cloud computing technologies, and just how it's used in engineering scenarios. So that's our cloud computing question. So the best way to study for the exam, just to wrap this part of it up, is to go through the lectures that are on the website. After you've gone through the lectures on the website, research on the internet, anything that you might want some more information on. Websites, the PDF files or the PPT files on the website in the technology and in the management of information innovation section is not going to give you an entire textbook. It's going to give you snapshots of all of the information. If you want more information on software as a service or service-oriented architectures or database technology or artificial intelligence or whatever you want, you have the research skills, I would hope, at this point. Go out. Don't trust Wikipedia, though. Wikipedia is pretty bad. But if you're going to read something, maybe read an article or read, there's a lot of books actually you can find online as well, PDFs and stuff. Wherever you go, whatever you find, don't trust Wikipedia. Half the stuff on Wikipedia is wrong. So it's not a good, reliable source of information. It should never be used for anything. Students use it all the time for some reason. Don't understand why. I think they don't get it. That anyone who wants can write anything. It's not fact-checked. So it's definitely not a reliable source of information. On that token, I'm going to end the recording of the final exam review, and then I'm going to finish up the cloud computing lecture for you. So I'm going to break this one. So this one.